My name is Steve Moore, and I am presenting my scope of work for Naval Air Station Facility for CM116. Scope of work. My scope of work is exterior wall, which is concrete masonry wall, or also known as CMU wall. My scope of work doesn't include steel framing for upper floor since there is another person who's going to be doing that. I am not going to do any exterior finishes, even though if it includes masonry. And also, there is someone else who is going to be doing that scope. Material estimation. For the materials that I will need for my scope of work is standard blocks, bond beam blocks, rebar, mortar, and grout. For standard blocks, I will need 4,477 blocks, and for the bond beam blocks, I will need 1,868. And for the horizontal rebar, I will need 288. And for one side of the rebar, vertical rebar, then I will need 339. And for the other side, I will need 340. And for the mortar, I will need 12 cubic yard, and the grout, I will need 35 cubic yard. Material costs. For the standard blocks, it's $5,820. And for the bonding blocks, then it's $2,689. For the horizontal rebars, it's going to take $1,886. And for the first vertical rebar, it's going to be $2,220. And for the vertical rebar number 2, it's going to be $2,227. For the mortar, it's going to cost $2,266, and for the grout, which is very expensive, will be $12,474. And for the grand total, it's going to be $29,584. Estimated duration for activities. It will take 1 day to set up the scaffolds. It will take 7 days to install all the CMU, and 1 day to install all the lintels. One, 1 day for all the rebars, and 2 days to clean out all the mess and move everything out, and with a grand total of 12 days to install this project. What's expected at arrival? What I expect when I arrive to the job site is that the steel core is already in place so that my walls won't get in the way of the steel workers. Also, that machines won't knock down my wall by accident, making me have to come back onto the site again. I also expect that the slab and foundation will be in place. Vertical rebar should be sticking out the foundation enough for me to splice them if I needed to. Basic knowledge. The width of the foundation should be 2 times the width of the block so that there is enough surface area to support the CMU wall. You should use a chalk line to chalk where your blocks will be placed so it will be easy to start the wall and ensure that the wall will be straight. The foundation should be fully cured, but you should wet it so that the mortar sticks on better. It will also be easier to start off with the corner blocks so that you know where the starting point and the ending point is. Okay, I have gone over the estimation of the scope of work, and I have go over what I expect to see when I arrive to the job site and the basics for setting up the CMU wall. Now let's go step by step how to set up this wall. Setting corner blocks. Put some mortar on the foundation where the first corner block is going to go. Kind of make an outline of the block with the mortar. After you lay down some mortar, press the block into place. After you set the block into place, use a leveler to ensure that the block is leveled. Preparing the following blocks for installing. The next column of blocks should be turned to the side with the grooves facing up. Put the motor on the grooves where it is going to make contact with the first block, as shown in the picture. When putting blocks, when putting motors onto these grooves, you can be generous because all of the motor will be used. After you put on some motor onto the block and foundation, push it downwards towards the foundation and sideways towards the first block. After you set it in the block, use a leveler again to make sure it is level. You want to make sure that it's level according to the first one that you have installed also. After you make sure the level is level, you can move the excess motor. Placing the next row of CMU. First, you need to note that the blocks should be staggered, as shown by the red arrow in the picture. Put the motor on top of the block where the previous row where you're going to place the new row of blocks. Set the block in place where it belongs and check the vertical and horizontal alignment with a leveler. Setting up the remainder of the blocks. Setting up the remainder of the blocks will be easy. Once both corners have been set up, masonry lines could be attached to them. The masonry lines ensure that the blocks are level without needing to use a leveler each and every single time you set down a block. The masonry lines can be easily adjusted as the walls go up. Okay, I just showed you guys how to set up corner blocks and the center blocks. Okay, now time for some reinforcement. Horizontal reinforcement. Horizontal reinforcement rebars are to be placed 24 inches on center, which is one course of block. One course of blocks equals 3 rows of blocks. The horizontal reinforcement rebars are to be placed in bombing blocks which already have grooves ready for the rebars to sit on top. Vertical reinforcement. The vertical reinforcement rebars are to be set 30 inches on center. We note that one block equals 60 inch. Therefore, the vertical reinforcement rebar should go into every other column block. The block comes with cells that the vertical rebars can go through. After you stick in the vertical rebars, you have to tie them with rebar ties to the horizontal rebars. Splicing rebars. Splicing rebars means joining two rebars together to make it longer. To splice a rebar, you need to overlap two rebars and tie them together. According to the specs on page 27, the rebar needs to be overlapped 48 times the diameter of the rebar. The rebar should be tied at 1/2 inch away from each end of the rebar as shown by the green circle on the figure 6-3. Example of splicing rebars can be viewed at the figure. Okay, now that we have gone over steel reinforcement, our walls should be getting tall. So let's go over scaffolds and what do we need to do with empty spaces in the blocks. Scaffolds. Scaffolds are equipment that helps worker get to a higher working surface area while maintaining safety. Safety should be considered at all times, therefore workers should take the time to ensure that these scaffolds are secured and set up properly. Empty cell blocks. All workers must ensure that there are no debris that gets into the cell because of if an inspector sees anything that isn't supposed to be in there, then the contractor will get flagged. Also, it will create a weak joint because grout wouldn't be able to get into that area. Fill them up. Now comes the time where we have all our walls up, so now we need to fill up the empty cells with grout. To fill up the cells, we will need to use a grout pump with a long hose to pump the grout into the cells. Once the cells are full, we stick in a vibrator all the way to the bottom and vibrate the grout so that it will take out all the air bubble. Once all the air bubbles are taken out, we will refill the cells until they are completely full and then repeat the process until no air bubbles are remain. cleanup. It's time to clean up. Once all the motor are dry, we take a joint cleaner and we scrape away all the excess motor to make it look good. After that, we need to take down the scaffolds and clean up the debris and waste. It's finally time for the golden block. Closeout. We put away our equipment, get approval for the work, for what we have done, then we can all go home. Thank you for watching me present my scope of work for the Naval Air Station facility.